So we've just completed our two-day strategic planning event called our landscape analysis. And we started off in our landscape analysis by putting together a virtual data room full of about 300 sources of information on everything from environmental to minerals and extraction to innovation and renewables, about eight different topics. And we created this virtual data room, and then we spent the first part of our room each person making observations about the articles that they had read. Each article in our data room was read once by at least 3 different people, so we had varying perspectives on that. We compiled all our data room comments, and then we split up as a team in our second landscape step to create a summary of the data room findings. So we summarized those at a very high level. The group spent several hours looking at that and trying to come up with what the most compelling findings were from the various people that indicated their thoughts on the articles. Then we broke that down to another level, and we looked at the impact of the articles based upon 3 thematic groupings, one from a local and state perspective, one from a regional and national perspective, and then finally from a global perspective. And we analyzed the impact of those articles based upon political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal aspects. And that represents our mid-row here on our wall. Then we took a compilation of the detail, the higher level, and we created elements that we use to create various scenarios. And the scenarios were presented today by groups. They worked on scenarios for about an hour. They combined the elements that they thought of as part of the process as we scaled up from our articles to our summaries to our thematic groupings. We created our landscape elements. And finally, we wove those landscape elements into a tapestry in creating 3 landscape scenarios. The landscape scenarios were, what does the future look like in a 3 years and under term, a 3 to 5 year term, and a 5 to 10 year term. Then we took those scenarios and the group sat down again and did brainstorming on the potential risks that would be associated with those scenarios. And this 4x4 matrix, you can't actually see the matrix anymore, but this 4x4 matrix is the system that we used to control and categorize those various risks. So starting off with this 4x4 matrix, starting in this lower corner, as our control moved forward this way, we had increasing control as we move along the axis this way, and we have increasing impact as we move up the 4x4 matrix this way. And so we took various risks and also opportunities, and we placed them in this 4x4 quadrant. And as you can see by the quadrant, in the high impact, low control quadrant, the red ones are sort of our significant risks, maybe critical risks. The yellow ones are sort of the medium scale risks, and then the blue are kind of low level risks and also our opportunities. So we placed these on this 4x4 matrix to sort of give us a sense of what we should be working on immediately. Obviously, if it's a high impact, high control, we should be doing something about it. If it is a high impact, low control, you might say that there's not much we can do about it. However, in this particular instance, we have lots of opportunities that we've also placed among those. So there could be some things that we could do to impact these high impact, low control risks. We have some that are low impact and low control, and these may be things that we wouldn't actually take a lot of resources to try to address, but may be something that we just monitor. And then our high impact, high control is really these are areas that are calling for action. So this 4x4 matrix will lead us into our risk assessment. We'll take each one of these risks and we'll unpack them into the elements of things that we can do to mitigate those risks or the steps that we can take to seize those opportunities. And this group of risks will form a pipeline of strategic initiatives for PRECORP over the next several years.